Hi, this is Ohfor. Let's expand upon the alchemy system. All right, so now we're going to continue with the alchemy system. I made a video, so this was yesterday. I'll link it in the description and maybe put a little ping in the corner. I absolutely need you to go look at that before proceeding with this one, because I explained the entire sort of alchemy setup of how extracts and ingredients and potions and so on all come together in the alchemy system. And unfortunately, I ran into some problems, so I couldn't quite demonstrate how to make a potion entirely of our own. And in this video, I'll go into more detail of all the sort of traps and pitfalls and caveats that exist within the basically the alchemy framework. So I've done a little bit of prep work. If you want to know more about how to create a potion of your own, I also have a video on that, so I won't really go into much detail. But I have created 2 potions, a tier 1 and a tier 2 potion of dexterity, and they are based off the potion, or the elixir, I think it's called, elixir of hill giant strength and cloud giant strength. And I generally believe that I might actually make this into a full mod if I can come up with some lore-friendly names and descriptions. But that's besides the point right now. So we have tier 1 potion dexterity and tier 2 potion dexterity. And what they do is that when consumed, so they apply a T2 dexterity status or a T1 dexterity status. And let's just take a look at what I've actually set up in here. So I have created 2 new objects, tier 1 potion dexterity, tier 2 potion dexterity, and they inherit straight from hill giant strength and cloud giant strength. And other than that, I've made no changes to the object. I just basically inherit all the values. And why is that? Well, because it's not in the stats table that the status is determined. What happens when you drink the potion, that comes from here, from the use action. So yeah, I don't really need to make any changes. Now I should, obviously, if I'm making this into a full mod, I'm going to need some new icons, or at least some different color tinting on the icons, but that's again out of scope for what we have here. Then I have created the new statuses. So we have the tier 1 dexterity status and the tier 2 dexterity status, and they inherit from hill giant strength and cloud giant strength, the statuses that are in the game. Then I've named them Elixir of Blessed Dexterity and Greater Dexterity. Not super original, I get that, but hill giant dexterity also didn't make sense, so it's kind of like, yeah. And in the description, we have dexterity increased to 21 and dexterity increased to 27. And then the only other change I've made would be out here on the right, where the actual boost is applied. So in the original potions, this would be ability override minimum strength 21 and 27, and I've changed that obviously to dexterity 21 and 27. So that's pretty much it. That's all I've done. And then I have that's all I've done, he says, and then he goes, yep. And then I've made a little treasure table just so I can spawn in some of my new potions. So Ohfor test potions, and if we copy that and then we go in, hello Karlak, and we do give, no, not give, treasure, and then Ohfor test potions. We can see Karlach received 2 items, or in reality it's 2 stacks. So we have here Elixir of Lesser Dexterity, and the description and so on down here is still, I haven't come up with anything remotely lore interesting. And if we drink that, we see Karlach's Dexterity go to 21. It's going to last until long rest, exactly like the original potion. And I also have the tier 2 one, the Greater Dexterity one. And it sets the dex to 27. Okay, so that's pretty much what we have. We have 2 new potions, and we are now going to integrate these so they become craftable inside our alchemy system. So let's get going. So the thing is about the alchemy system, that from a crafting perspective, if you've looked at my crafting video, it is super simple to set up something so that you can combine, say, a skull and a bone, if you want, and create a recipe that can create our new potion. That's not an issue, and that's what caught me out a couple of times in the alchemy system, because it looks like a sort of very straightforward crafting setup, but it's much more than that. The underlying alchemy engine that drives this page arrives at, so the way that recipes automatically unlock, the way that the various materials are organized into supplements, salts, essences, ashes, and so on, and the way that the craftable results are organized into potions, elixirs, grenades, coatings, and so on. All of this is based on a number of assumptions the alchemy engine makes that aren't all that clear. And I've frankly not seen this happen anywhere else in the game. So I'll make this a little bit clearer, but just to give you some idea that making the potion craftable itself is not the issue. Making all these bits and pieces in the UI come together is the challenge, and that's what we have to sort of solve here today. And I will probably be re-recording some segments to try and not waste your time, because I've gone wrong on this so many times. But anyway, let's start by taking a look at how the original potions are crafted. So they were called something with cloud strength. Let's do a global search for that. So we see a couple of things here. We see some treasure tables. That's not what interests us. And then we see our own potion, the dexterity potion that inherits from it. Also not interesting. We are after the item combos. Okay. So we now need to find out how is this crafted. And here is the recipe for it, for the cloud one. There should be a recipe for the hill one as well. Let's just see if we're lucky. Yep. And here we go. So we'll start with the lesser one, the hill giant. So elixir giant strength. Okay, that's interesting. STREGA. Okay, hill _ hill giant finger. This is not at all confusing, huh? So we have 2 misspelled potion recipes. For once, it's not me messing up here, and they both. So they're named. No, they're not even named the same. Okay, fine. Doesn't matter. This is the 2 recipes we are after. And I guess if we do something... No, never mind. This is fine. Now, how are these made? Well, they are made... Actually, let me see if we can do giant finger in a local search, because that will highlight these two for us. Okay, so they are made from, the first one is made, no, the first one, which would be the lesser one, is made from an alchemy extract of hill giant finger, and the greater one is made from an alchemy extract of cloud giant finger. Okay, and let's see what else plays a part in them. So they both then rely on something from the water affinity for their secondary ingredient. Okay, and then the result of that would be cloud giant strength and hill giant strength. So I propose we do exactly that. So the only thing that is going to be our secret sauce is we're going to need our own extract. Right? So right now we have extract of cloud finger and extract of hill finger, and I am going to clone those to sort of provide the basis for our new recipe. So without further ado, let's go find them. So down here somewhere we have the hill giant finger extract. I'm going to create new from selected, and then following my own naming convention, this is going to be Ohfor T1 Dexterity extract, and yeah, display name Dexterity extract T1, because I can't both do videos and be imaginative and lore friendly at the same time. And we can see here that it's based on base alchemy extract of. Now, let me tell you, this is more important than I certainly realized. So let's just clone it first, and then we go find the stats, and then I can explain something. So these extracts are all based on a base template, and it's specific to each extract. It's either earth or fire or whatever, and the alchemy engine uses those, and it has significance. It's not just a simple crafting system. It has actual significance which one you inherit from, and we'll see in a minute with the ingredients that they too inherit from 6 different base templates, if you will, and that too determines how the UI organizes them. And this is how it's done, which is unusual because I'm not aware of anywhere else in the game where the actual base templates matter. You just basically use them for whatever. But I found this yesterday when I had my failed attempts. This actually mattered. Okay, so I'm rambling. We are going to need 2 new objects. So first, for the hill finger, we are going to do Ohfor T1 Dexterity extract, and we are going to steal that from the hill finger, and then we're going to need that in a minute, even though I haven't set up the root template for it, the tier 2 extract, and that's going to be alch extract cloud giant finger. Now there's one thing I don't know, and we'll learn in this video, whether or not alch_extract is super important for the game, because there could be a naming convention on this as well, which would really be annoying, but it's definitely possible, which means I will be forced to rename these if it turns out to be true, but we'll see in a minute. So let's just finish up our work here. We need the cloud giant finger as well. Create new from selected. So this is T2 Dexterity extract and Dexterity extract T2. So now we have that. So now we have basically our two extracts in place. And then we can go back here, copy this one from tier 1. Oh, well, when you get into this situation, it's because I have not saved yet. And because it isn't saved, then the editor out here doesn't recognize what stat I'm trying to pass. So let's try that again. Tier 1 Dexterity extract and right, little UI hiccup. Tier 2 Dexterity extract. So now we have our extracts set up. Let's just save that. And go back and take a look. So we need to set our own root template. So the tier 1 Dexterity extract. There. And then the tier 2 Dexterity extract. Okay. So now we have that set up. We have the same setups as the original potions, and you can see here the combo category is set to Alch Affinity Earth. This also relates to what we learned in here, that these extracts are inheriting from the Earth base template or base stats. I don't actually know. I can't decide what I think the correct term is. But that is also not important. And then we have the fact that Earth, so see how it inherits the Earth Water passive. So it kind of expects, the game expects you to combine Earth and Water for this. I don't know exactly why that is, but I know it's significant because yesterday I was just winging it and I ended up getting very strange results. So there are some underlying assumptions that I'm sorry, I'm just not aware of. If I can get it as far in this video as to show you how to make these potions work, then I will consider my my job a success, and just basically tell you that this system is not as flexible as you think. We know that item combos can be pretty much anything. The underlying engine doesn't care. But to make this UI work, that's something else. However, we have our new extract. So what we need now is we are going to need some new recipes for... So I'm starting from behind. I have the potions, and then I'm going to be able to make the potions from the extracts. And then I'm going to make the extracts from ingredients last. So that's kind of like the reverse order of things. But let's get the item combo set up for this. So to do that, we are going to create a new item combos. Well, there's a lot of... This needs more exploring, but for now, item combos. So here we go, our very own item combos. Why don't we see what the original ones were called? So we had the Hill Giant Finger and Cloud Giant Finger. And we know we can't. So this is the bug I was talking about. I've mentioned this in a couple of videos. If I just set the parent in here in an item combos table, then nothing is going to work. However, there's a few things we can do. One of them is what I'm doing here. So now I've basically created a new stat that inherits from this one, because this allows me to basically copy all the fields up, because that makes our lives a little bit easier. So what are we making? We are making the, what did I end up calling it again? Let's just see. We are making the tier 1 dexterity extract. So again, the recipe here doesn't need to be the same. And again, we'll see in a minute, there's still some naming convention going on with this alch_extract that I fear may be an issue, but we'll learn. So it requires a tier 1 dexterity extract. It's an object, base, consume, and then everything else we're just going to copy. Oh, hang on, this is the ingredient. Sorry, this is wrong. It's not the ingredient we want to, we don't want to create the extract. We want to create the actual elixir. So I'm copying the wrong thing. So let's copy that. Okay. So we are after the potion, not the elixir. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we need a potion of dexterity, and that requires the extract. So this is correct. And then we need something from the category of alchemy affinity water, and this we just copy across. So these affinities, all of that is explained in my video from yesterday, the alchemy one. So I'm not going to go into detail with that. So the result of this will be a T1 potion of dexterity, and we will get one of them. And then we're going to repeat that here. It's not entirely clear to me why it needs both, well, but whatever. And the alchemy combination is extract to solution. So now we have copied all the fields that should matter. Just double check. Yeah, our trigger is the dexterity extract. So now we can get rid of this one. No, actually, let's do the tier 2 one as well, since we're here. Okay, so now we have our 2 potion recipes set up that will trigger from dexterity extract 1 and dexterity extract 2. So we'll save that. And then let's see if we can get this working as intended. So what we're expecting now is that whenever if everything is set up correctly, then the recipe for this potion should unlock whenever this arrives in our inventory. So that's sort of like the first test we do. And why don't we see if that actually works? So the T1 dexterity extract, we are copying name GUID to clipboard, and then we're going in game. Hello again, Karlak. Thanks for waiting. And we are going to do spawn item, and then our T1 dexterity extract with the GUID, and we're just going to dump it on the ground there. And then we are going to pick it up. Okay, so we have our first initial success. Elixir of Lesser Dexterity recipe was unlocked. I'm supposed to sound confident and say how easy it is. I was not at all sure about that. given my experience with this. So Elixirs, elixir of lesser dexterity. It requires our dexterity extract tier 1, and then it requires any suspension. Cool. So let's find a suspension, why don't we? They are probably not named. Well, we'll see. Let's go to all. Okay. So these are maybe suspension. Let's just see. Yeah, suspension of bullywug trumpet. That is fine. We are going to copy name GUID to clipboard. And then we're going to spawn in one of these. Alchemy extract bullywug trumpet. So now we have that. That should unlock some other recipes as well, but we don't really care. Yeah, so that unlocked simple toxin as well. Okay, so in our alchemy bag we have our dexterity extract tier 1, and we have our suspension of bullywug trumpet. And I'm just going to rid Karlach's inventory of these existing potions so we can see what's actually going on. And then we go to alchemy, elixirs, and see if we can get an elixir of lesser dexterity, because we have all the pieces in place now. We have our dexterity extract tier 1, which definitely needs a better name, I get that. And we have a bullywug trumpet. So one thing I simply do not understand is why, when I'm hovering over this, that it is basically already pointing to simple toxin. Because I don't know why. But maybe that's what it's a base ingredient for. Because this one is not pointing to anything. I don't understand fully this window. But we have the extract, we have a suspension, and it is telling us this is going to give us an elixir of lesser dexterity. And we'll see, because yesterday when I did this, I got random potions out of it. I don't know why. But why don't we just... 1 items added to Karlach's inventory. Okay. Now, let's see. Fantastic. We have an elixir of lesser dexterity. I am very pleased with this result, because I was not at all sure that this would actually work as intended. We can drink that. I mean, right now she has dexterity 27, because that's the elixir she drank at the beginning of the video, but this should override it. You wouldn't normally do that, right? Go from 27 dex to 21, but it proves that our potion has been crafted fully and has gone through the system. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another bullywug trumpet, and then I am going to create a tier 2 elixir extract, just to see if that is working. So copy name GUID to clipboard. Spawn item over tier 2 dexterity extract. I'm going to drop that on the ground over here, and then we're going to go. So I'm picking up the bullywug trumpet. That shouldn't unlock anything for us because we already unlocked that, but this should unlock the greater dexterity potion, and it did. That is excellent. So let's see if we can also craft one. So now we can't craft the lesser dexterity anymore because we don't have any more of the tier 1 extract, but we can craft the greater one. So again, dexterity extract tier 2, a water suspension, and that should give us an elixir of greater dexterity. And indeed it does. And we drink that, and our dexterity is back to 27. So great success so far. Now I am aware of the time on this video, but I'm just going to carry through to completion. So at this point, I mean, you could probably figure out what needs to be done now, but we need to create the recipe and the items and so on to support crafting the extract itself. And let's get to that. So we are going to need the item compost table. Just need to figure out what that. So ingredient loot, hill giant finger, and no doubt there's a cloud giant finger as well. Let's see if we can find those in game. So switch up to all. So here we go. And again, for a real mod, I mean, it probably shouldn't be a finger. It should be something more imaginative, but I'm simply not going to bother with those kinds of details at this point. So we are going to need a new from selected, and we'll call that Ohfor T1 dexterity ingredient, and dexterity ingredient tier 1. I don't know why sometimes they set the display name for Alchemy and sometimes they don't, so now I'm just setting it in both cases. So this is our tier 1 ingredient, and then we are going to need the tier 2 ingredient, cloud giant finger. Again, create new from selected, Ohfor tier 2 dexterity ingredient, and dexterity ingredient tier 2. All right. So now we have our 2 ingredients in place, and they are going to need new stats. So the hill giant, let's copy that, and then we go to our own objects table and go Ohfor tier 1 dexterity ingredient. We're going to inherit that from the hill giant finger, and then we do Ohfor tier 2 dexterity ingredient, and this is of course not the hill giant finger but the cloud, and then we just need our new root template set up. So this is the tier 1 ingredient, and the tier 2 ingredient, and I think if I remember correctly everything is the same. Now one of the reasons this seems maybe easy is because I'm copying existing ingredients. I absolutely recommend you do the same, because notice how these inherit from Alchemy type 2, which I believe is either earth or water, I don't know, but this relates to the extract, and as far as I can tell they need to line up, otherwise the Alchemy engine gets really trippy about it. So we'll see how it goes, but hopefully this all works out. But if you're making an elixir, make sure you copy from an existing elixir that pretty much behaves the way you want it to. And if you're making a potion, same thing. That's simply the path of least resistance. And let's see, I don't think anything else here matters. So at the end it will have, see, it's going to create an ingredient earth, right? And if this doesn't align with this one here, which is an earth extract, you're going to get in trouble. That's my experience. If all of this doesn't line up, you're simply going to get in trouble. So these ingredients will create something that is earth related, because they are alchemy type 2, which is earth. I'm pretty sure the first one is wind or air maybe, and then earth, etc. So all of this needs to line up, otherwise the underlying alchemy engine just goes trippy. And it might still go trippy. This might go wrong for whatever reason. I've burned my fingers a few times on that. Okay, so but now we have a new crafting recipe in place. No, we don't. Sorry. We have a new stat in place for our tier 1 and tier 2 ingredients. And so I'm going to paste that in here. This is tier 1. This is tier 2. And we're saving that. And all that's left to do now is to see if we can actually get our extract to unlock, and for that we are going to need the recipe for it. So we're going back to item combos, and we are going to copy this one because it's just going to make our life a little bit easier. And as before, I'm just creating a dummy entry so I can paste this in here. So what we are making is the extract for tier 1, and then we are copying. So this is of course where we need the Dexterity tier 1 ingredient. Everything else, so we're going to copy that into object 1, object 2, and object 3, because as any other recipe, we just basically need 3 of the same. And again, that's not something I think can change. The times I've tried to experiment with the alchemy system and make other combinations and be clever about this, it simply did not react the way I would expect. So again, this is now we're back to all the assumptions that the alchemy engine sort of makes, and I don't know where they are. I would love to see the actual code for it, but I don't know where it is. It's not in Osiris. I did look there. So this is our tier 1 extract, and that should now be set up. And this is of course ingredients to extract, as covered in yesterday's video. Okay, and then I just fast forward through while creating tier 2, which is going to be the same, just with tier 2 obviously. Okay. So I've copied all of that, so now I've made an exact replica of this, except now it's tier 2. So we should be able to, no, I messed up. Of course this needs to be ingredient, object 1, object 2, and object 3. So now we have that in place. So I should now be able, if I have 3 ingredients, I should be able to create an extract, and with the extract I should be able to create a potion. So let's save that and get in game and test this out. So to test that, we are going to copy name GUID of our T1 ingredient to the clipboard, and then we go in and we are going to need to spawn a few of these. This is where I should maybe make a treasure table. So we have 1, we have 2, and 3. So now we have 3 giant fingers, and this is where like the model for these should probably be something else. But that's a story for a different day. So when picking up the first one, I am expecting the recipe to unlock. And it did. So Dexterity Extract Tier 1 unlocked. Let's just double check that in here. So that should be salt. So salt is earth as far as I'm aware. And it basically says, yeah, you can make a Dexterity Extract Tier 1 if you have 3 of these. I only have 1. But that has an easy solution, so we'll pick up 2 more. And then we'll go back and craft. And then it says, yeah, sure enough, you can make a Dexterity Extract Tier 1. So let's see. 1 item added to Karlach's inventory. And that would have ended up in the alchemy bag. Here we have a Tier 1 extract. Then we are going to need, just to, for completeness sake, we had a bullywug, extract of bullywug trumpet up here. Going to spawn in one of these. I mean, we know this works. Knock on wood. It certainly worked before. But now it should allow us to create a Tier 1 Dexterity. And indeed we have, and we can drink that and we get 21 Dexterity. Isn't life fantastic? And now we just basically need to double check that it also works with Tier 2. At this point, I'm optimistic enough to say that I don't know why it wouldn't, unless I made some kind of copy-paste mistake or whatever. Spawn item, Tier 2 Dexterity ingredient, 1, 2, so apparently the cloud giants have bluish fingers. So 3 of these, and while we're here, we know we're going to need a bullywug trumpet as well, so I'll just spawn that in. And then we go, first we pick up the bullywug trumpet, and then when I pick up the first ingredient, I'm expecting an unlock. Dexterity Extract Tier 2. Fantastic. So let's pick up the last 2 ingredients. And so here we have Dexterity Extract Tier 2, which requires 1, 2, 3 of the ingredient Tier 2, which will give us an extract Tier 2. And once I have that, I should actually have an elixir of greater dexterity. And we do. Craft that. And then I guess all that's left to say is cheers and have fun modding.